All right, here we are once again. This is another episode of
Big Talk
About Small Business. I'm here with my buddy,
What's up, Mark?
Eric Howerton. How's it going, man?
Good, man. You got a new setup in here.
I know, I like this. It's something different. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a little weird not seeing a microphone in front of your face, though.
It is. It's a little strange just talking to air like this. Hey, everybody, but there's no one there. Just lights and cameras. But you're here. That's the important thing.
That is, man. We got some cool stuff to talk about. Well, we just planned it like literally right before we started the podcast.
We did. But I mean, I think the thing is, okay, you and I, yeah, we've sold businesses and all that, okay, but we're still involved in so many other things.
Oh, yes.
That we are learning every single day.
Every day.
And we have more experience to share every single day.
I agree.
And I think that the problems that you and I both face in the businesses that we're associated with, they're not unique.
No.
Everybody has lots of these issues and opportunities. They're not all problems.
No.
But I think, you know, there's always plenty to talk about.
Totally.
That's topical.
Well, I mean, like, literally we could have a problem going on at the business today.
Yeah.
And be able to bring it up on the show because that's what business is. It is nothing but problems. It's either good problems or bad problems. All you got to do is go after the good problems. If that's your goal as an entrepreneur.
Yep.
Go for good problems because you never get to where it really needs to be. I don't care what anybody says.
Well, you don't if you're somebody, especially if you're somebody who keeps striving to do better.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some people who I stay small successfully. We were talking about that, where they're control freaks.
Yeah.
And they just want their little fiefdom where everybody is a good order taker and does exactly what they tell them to do. Mm-hmm. There's no innovation that they personally don't come up with.
Mm-hmm.
And, I've dealt with a lot of those people over the years. They run their business like that for 75 years or till they're 75 years old. And then they want to sell it. Okay. And there's nothing to sell. They always say, well, I don't have anybody good who can take over. Okay, well, what is somebody going to buy? Your business where you're so instrumental that every single thing and you're going to be gone? How's that create anything?
It's funny you say it because as I'm thinking about a couple of entities that I have going on, like I'm having, and even though I've been there and done that a couple of times in certain ways, but you have to stop and you have to really think, what am I building that's going to have value to a buyer? Mm-hmm. Because you're never going to be immune to that. And so you have to really stop and think like, is what I'm investing in right here, whether it's time, money, or both, or people,
right?
Are they going to build a product, something that's tangible that I can actually be removed and released from that, and it still has value to it?
Yes.
And I think that's, it's funny, like I think I get it. Like it's intuitive to me to think that way.
That's entrepreneurship versus small business.
Yeah,
right?
it is.
That is
because it's intuitive for you to think that way.
Right.
Like there's no question. Like we can, if you're sitting there telling me you're going to do X, Y, and Z, and in my brain I'm like, A, that's not scalable. B, you're holding the keys to everything.
Right.
And no one else can replicate it. Like I don't want to build that. No one's going to buy that shit.
Right. And I don't want a business that only has idiot order takers in it. I want people who think of stuff that I never thought of. Okay.
Yeah.
Because they're smarter or they know more about something than I know about it, or they see a possibility that I wouldn't see. I think it's, you got to be pretty egocentric to think you're going to be the best person at everything.
Totally. Actually, it's better if you recognize that you're not.
Yeah.
And get the hell out of the damn way.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, I've held on to so much stuff in my past and I've just ruined it. Like I've come to light here recently, like I'm not really a great CEO. As a matter of fact, with one of the companies I have, I want to be just an interim CEO until I find...
You're a founder until you fire yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm just looking to recruit a CEO. I just want to build something enough to where a good CEO would like to come in and they can work with it. And
you're not a maintenance guy.
No.
That's for sure. No. I get it.
No.
We're both too, I don't want to say inconsistent because we're not inconsistent. We can both work consistently hard and maintain our attention on something. Mm-hmm. but there's a different energy level to it
Yeah.
and intensity. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, totally.
And it comes and goes along with your own personal state of mind and everything else that you have going.
And it has to be something, I think, as an entrepreneur, you have to have the ability to choose what that is.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't make me do something. I've been figuring that out. I'm like, man, I'm just like an old stubborn dog, man. Like, you couldn't come to me and say, Eric, go do this. And I'm going to be like,
well, that's why we're unemployable.
that's right.
Fundamentally unemployable.
We are.
But
But hey, we were talking earlier about a killer of business, not because there's 100 of them. But a killer of business is speed.
Oh my God, our
Lack of speed.
Yes, it is such a problem. I tell you, I mean, you've seen it. You know how the bureaucracy creeps in as you get bigger and bigger. It's like, well, we've got to be professionally managed. So now we're going to add in 10 layers of bureaucracy that don't make the place any money or make us any better at what we do in the name of being organized. And yeah, I mean, one of the businesses that I work with that you're familiar with, I've been saying to the top management that we need a speed award. We need to emphasize.
Speed award?
Yes.
Okay.
That we give out once a month to an employee, and we single out what they did fast.
It could be anything.
It could be anything. It could be anything. It could be a process improvement. It could be finishing something that had been started. There's a lot of different variations on the thing. It could be how fast they got back to a customer. Mm-hmm. But speed is everything. Delaying, and delaying. Setting the deadlines out farther than they need to be doesn't help anybody.
To give them that space. What the hell is going on with this tape?
You're moving it around.
Am I?
Yeah, you're scooting it.
Sorry,
I don't know. It's okay.
It's your crap studio.
We could attach these together with a piece of steel.
Duct tape?
Yeah, duct tape, not duct, but duct tape.
But yeah, I mean, so like what is it about? Like, do you think folks? I think it's a human nature problem.
I think it is.
And then it's
anything you can delay.
Yeah, and then it becomes like poisonous toxicity of where if you're doing that, then I'm just going to do that. Like, you have ability. So is it could it be a management thing?
Well, everything is a management thing.
Okay. Well, yeah, you used to teach management. Like, you're really good at that.
Well, no, I mean, every problem's a management problem because management is responsible for managing the business. But they let that go on. They tolerate that behavior. They accept those unnecessarily long times to implement change.
Do you think that
fix something?
So if I was your manager, right, and you start like demonstrating signs of being slow or slower than what the need of the business is,
right?
Like how would you address that? Like, what would be a sign that where you start seeing somebody going down that road?
I would start asking questions like, why is this going to take us so long?
Yeah.
Okay. What's the point? And you've got to drill down all the way to expose the reality of it, that a choice, that the long deadline is really the result of a lot of choices.
Yeah.
That maybe those are
over time
choices.
That's bloated up and be nasty. Nasty. It's like a gut that's been eating French fries for 20 years. It's nasty.
Exactly.
But you're right. Like, I mean, I think the longer that goes, like the more problem, like you got to chisel back down on that. And you're coming into this business and like, you're noticing this, like, and I think that a lot of the other management maybe doesn't even know it. It's just normal.
Well, it becomes cultural. It's the way we do things here. Problem.
Right.
Okay. And the way we do things here may be not a good way to do things. I think a lot of people get confused about what is success. How do we define our success? One level is, well, we survived. We're still here. We're still got our job making $27 an hour. Okay. Some people might consider that a success. But another way to look at the success is, are we really maximizing our potential? Are we doing all we could do here to make this business significantly better? and make everybody's life different and improve the lot of all of our employees and do a better job for our clients and customers, and build a better future that's more likely to be able to sustain itself. Okay. And that question is the ultimate question. And I just think too many people, they just get stuck there. They think, well, this is my lot in life. This is like as good as it's going to get. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They have no vision of inspiration,
yes,
or accomplishment, or honor.
Yes.
And I think it gets squished down over time. But I think, like, when you're talking about this, like, how do you prevent that lack of speed? You know,
you've got to demonstrate it yourself always as a leader. That's
Absolutely.
Number one. You got to show people how fast you can do stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Turn it around fast. But you
it's true, though. You are one of the fastest people I've ever met in my life.
You've got to be. But then, it's like I had Matt Lewis in of Lewis Automotive Group talking to my students. We need to get Matt on this podcast because he is a brilliant guy, okay? The stuff that he has given me over the last 10 years that I use would blow your mind.
Really?
But anyway, so we're sitting there in class, and it was the best graphic he drew on the board. He's like, okay, let's say this is the market, and it's a circle. And here's our piece of the pie, and it's like 25% or whatever it was. He goes, okay, now the market could shrink dramatically. He draws a smaller circle, okay? But now this is the size of the pie we got to get. It's a lot bigger, okay? Mm-hmm. And he goes, that's what we're going to do. It's not like that's what we're going to try, that's what we're going to do.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah, that's what we will do that because we are not going to rest. And it's not going to be one magic bullet thing. He always tells everybody, it's going to be 25 things.
Yeah.
25 little things that all add up to when the other people are retreating, we're going to advance. And the reason why that's relevant here is I think a lot of people will easily rationalize the lack of performance for the business. Like we're not selling advertising or we're not selling our product or, we can't get good people, whatever because of the market. Okay. Mm-hmm. And you can't accept any of that. Mm-hmm. None of that is a legit excuse. All right. But once those excuses become accepted, then it justifies the lack of positive action and change. So it leads to mediocrity and no growth.
So I'm hearing you kind of say is that it's really, on the positive side of this, it's about the leader, it's the entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. Number one, you can't be slow.
You can't be. And the people who are your direct reports can't be either. That's the next place to work.
Right. And so you're leading speed.
Yeah.
Number one.
Yeah.
Number two, I think, and you talked about it with Matt Lewis, but I believe there has to be vision casting. Constant, relentless
selling people on the vision.
Yes.
Vision casting's a good term. I like that.
Yeah. And like you're always, one thing that I've noticed this at White Spider, right? Or what is now Flywheel is that, we just kind of ended our arrangement. But I was remembering, we were much more locked in on far as like here's our case studies, here's our capabilities, and we have company meetings and, with our Walmart team here. But one thing I've been noticing that's starting to miss is this vision casting. Like, why are we here? Like what Matt was like, why are we here? Not what are we doing?
Yeah.
But why are we doing what we're doing? And that's just this constant. And I realized, Mark, that when we built that business, our people believed in that over time.
Right.
And I mean, and when
if they don't believe in that or they don't know what that is,
it starts to show. It starts to show.
Things wane. It slows down.
It's kind of cool, but also not cool at the same time. But I mean, it was, but basically our team genuinely believed in why we were doing what they're doing. And their why was greater than themselves.
Yeah.
Which woke them up to do something greater than themselves and be faster than themselves, right? Like you have to, if you as an individual, and I think we get it intuitively again, But I don't do things so that I personally gain, which is a misconception. I mean, there's not a lot of people out there.
Your personal gain is the outcome of other people gaining.
Yes.
The system working.
Yes.
It's not,
yes.
Yeah. And it's not even necessarily the goal. It's a nice byproduct.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get that.
And so if this company if they could see why you're doing this, and that speed is so important for you to accomplish your why, that's vision casting.
Yeah.
So you're leading by example,
right?
And you're fast as hell.
Yeah.
And then you're casting that vision. What's another thing that can be done to help?
Well, I think, one of the mistakes I think I've made over the years is that I try to get all people to see this. Okay. And I'm like, well, everybody should be able to see this. Okay. Mm-hmm. And if the next level of management directly below you doesn't get it and see it, then the people below them aren't going to. It sort of negates the whole thing. They become this sort of fat around the muscle that then stops the progress. So you got to work on the next level down. It's super critical. And, the problem is, let's say you got 3 people who get it and 2 people who don't, or 4 people who get it and 1 who doesn't. You either have to get those non-believers to believe, or you got to move them out.
Oh, there we go.
Okay. And that's where a lot of people don't do it. Also, the reason they don't is they think, well, if I fire Joan over there, I've got to do her job. I can't do her job. I'm already doing the job of 5 people. I work 80 hours a week or whatever. So I'm going to let Joan, because Joan still does stuff that I want to do.
Good enough.
Yeah, it's good enough. But that's a cancer. That kills. So that person then kills it for the other leaders. And then those leaders, of course, the people below them don't get it. They don't see why it's critical.
And there's power in numbers. If you have enough rats that are all passive, negative, slow, self-protectant people, it's going to start leading up.
Yes, there's comfort in that.
And then next thing you know, you got an entire organization of rats that aren't fast.
It's like Matt says, they call it 5-car Charlie, the guy who sells 5 cars a month, okay? He wants to drag everybody else down to his level because then it makes him feel better about himself.
That means you don't have to do that.
Yeah, for his lack of performance. You see what I mean?
But you got to cut that. You got to cut him out.
You can't tolerate it. You just can't tolerate it. So how the real question is, how do you go from where you are to where you see the potential in the organization and what you could actually accomplish and what that would mean to the individuals? I mean, I was saying this to somebody the other day who's business I'm intimately involved with, that, I said, do these people really believe that if we did well, that like in 2 years they could double the money they make? Like, what impact would that have on their lives? Like, they don't have good childcare now, or their spouse has to work. Their life is completely out of control, okay? They can't afford to buy a house, so they're renting. What kind of impact would it be if they could just double what they made, in 2 years? Do they even see that as a possibility? And the answer is most of them don't.
No.
I said, what I think we need to do is like single out somebody. I said, if we had a $40,000 employee and we decided to pay that person $30,000 more right now because they're kicking ass, okay? We would set an example that other people could see. And so part of it is management too. It's like, we can't let these structures of, there's we only pay the such and such as $22.40 an hour to $37.10 an hour because that's what the pay scale is or whatever. It's all bullshit. You've got to be able to break through that, make somebody the example, and start build some role models, I think.
Yeah.
People got to be
show
that's possible.
Yeah, they got to see that it's possible.
Yeah.
And would you say that also, instead of spending so much effort into limiting pay, How do you spend the effort to demonstrate how you can increase pay?
Yeah. Exactly.
And if you can tie that to the speed at which this company's blocked, you got to show that story of the more that we build here and the more products we release or new products that we release. This equates into more sales.
Right.
More sales equate into more payroll, more money, more bonuses, all this type of stuff. Next thing you know,
better opportunities for you. Better as we grow, better opportunity for you to get into what you like to do best and do best.
And get paid more.
Yeah, because generally we like the stuff that we're good at, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
That's the fun stuff. So here's your chance to do more fun stuff and less stuff that you don't like. Make a lot more money. Change your life, okay?
Yeah.
Not just make more so you can buy a new sofa. Okay, make more so you can meaningfully change your life and that of your family. And put yourself on a different trajectory. You know, I mean, I just, it just gets really frustrating when, and the other thing is, you know, you start talking about coming out with new stuff. The conclusion I've come to is the market is so fickle. And the marketplace you serve has such a short attention span. The next thing companies do is they do come out with something new and it's successful. And they're like, wow, that's great. It was successful. Okay, it's great. It was really successful. Remember when we did that? It was successful. I'm like, do more of it. Do it faster.
Yeah.
Because they're going to forget in 2 weeks from now, the marketplace forgets that we got something new, or 2 months. We got to keep coming out with the new instead of just, that was great. I love, it's like when you see these companies, we did a promo and it really got a great return. Did you do another one the same way? Well, no, we haven't done that yet. We were really celebrating our return on that. I'm like, do it again.
Yeah.
Just keep doing it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
To push yourself a little bit.
Yeah. You know, it's funny because, like, I think once you break through that a little bit, people start picking it up on their own.
Exactly.
Like, it's only hard
as cultural.
It's only hard as a leader to either change one that's negative. That's a hard job to do. Or
maybe impossible.
It could be
possible, but it may be impossible.
It's hard. And then when B is just to drive yourself to know that. I think it's really, here's been my problem. I'll be honest with you. Instead of me realizing all the time, like what you're talking about as me being a leader and how I drive that, I found myself in a lot of times being frustrated at other people because they don't understand my energy behind it.
Are you kidding? I've been the same.
Have you felt that way?
Oh, God, yes.
Like I've spent way too much of my own energy being frustrated that other people don't have my energy or my vision or whatever it might be.
I totally get that, but I'm going to take it back to Matt Lewis again, okay? He says, don't forget that the manager's job is only to make the other people more successful at whatever they do. The people who make the stuff and the people who sell the stuff. And if you're not making their job better and you're not making them more successful, you're failing, okay? So he says what he likes to do is, let's say he's a new manager in a group of people. Because I find who the most influential person is. Usually that's the one who's been there the longest, not the highest performer. Because the highest performer, they don't have any time for bullshit. Okay, they don't participate in the guys. Like they're just out there going from one job to the next. They're killing it. They're all about making the money, and they don't let anybody.
They found their sweet spot. They're rolling.
Yeah, they don't let anybody get in their way. But the old timer, let's say, whoever, it could be 5 years they've been there, whatever. They're the one you got to focus on. So you've got to help make them more successful. If you can help make them more successful, they do your job. They're out there selling for you that it's possible. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I had this one guy, when I started out, he was selling as a sales manager like 19 years ago. He's got this one guy, he's been there 1 million years. He's like, what do you know? I've been doing this for 40 years, or whatever. Because I was doing this before you were even alive, okay? What are you going to do for me? How are you going to help me? And he tells the story of how he dealt with this old guy, okay? So this guy's selling a car or whatever. So he just immediately goes back and grabs the owner's manuals for it. He drives it through the car wash. He gasses it up for the guy. He starts getting the paperwork processed. He brings
as
it all,
manager.
as his manager. Okay, he brings it all back to the guy. The guy's like, "Well, I got to go." He's like, "No, it's all done. We can, here we go. Let's move on to the next one." He said, once that guy's making twice as much money as he was, after a few months of that, he's like, "Holy cow, so-and-so really helpful. He really knows what he's talking about." Then that guy tells all the other people, because he's the one that's holding the meeting after the meeting.
Yeah.
All right, the meeting after the meeting. You conduct the meeting.
It's the most important meeting. It's
Yeah.
the meeting after the freaking
Right.
80, dude.
Because that's the person you got to win over.
And guess what? You as the entrepreneur are not invited to that meeting.
You're not a part. No, they're all talking about you and they're
Yeah.
You're freaking crazy.
Crazy,
Okay.
stupid,
Yeah,
or bound to be failure soon.
exactly. And it makes so much sense to me. So you got to help. It's all just about helping and showing, making their jobs easier, making them more successful, picking the most influential people out.
I mean, help me out, Mark, because I have a problem of keeping this kind of stuff in mind on a daily. Like when I walk into this company or any company, I'm walking in with just what I've got going on in my head about what we need to do and why it's important.
Yeah.
But I don't ever really think about, hey, this is my influential person. I need to make this happen. It's hard to be objective.
Because
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I get it, because you're responding in the moment. You're responding to the situation, but there's a lot of external factors that are influencing your thinking.
but if I would be wiser to what you're talking about, like in understanding how to find those people to help me, or to help align to this speed vision, and and then spend the time on figuring out the stepping stones to where they can see themselves making more money, changing their. I can do, like, when I talk about that, like, it makes a lot of sense to me. I'm like, yes, that's the answer. But then I go back and I'm just kind of get back.
Fall into your old ways and get stuff at people for not performing or doing
Or not believing in shit and understanding why that's important, or why you shouldn't do that, or why we aren't,
Right.
Like, that's that's probably, I'm not the only one that shares that negative kind of thing. I want to be more on that side to where, like, how would you practice that?
I think there's several things that you can do. One is you've got to hang out with people who have a different attitude but have been more successful than you have.
Okay.
And more successful doesn't necessarily mean money.
Yeah, sure.
That's going to be hard to find in your case.
Whatever.
Okay. But more successful in terms of like how they live their lives. All right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They have maybe more control over their life, and they've got a more even sort of success, consistent. In any case, people that you admire, that you think know what the hell they're talking about when it comes to business, right? You got to hang out with those people.
Yeah.
Because they're going to constantly help you get back on track. That's one thing.
That's probably a good reason to have a board. That's like having a board of advisors.
Absolutely. I mean, I think
You're a big believer in that.
I am a big believer in that. I've been on a lot of them, and I know you can make a big difference. I've seen other.
Do you have to pay those board advisors?
Yeah, in every case I do it, I got paid. I can tell you that.
I got you.
Unless it was my own business.
Not board of directors, but board of advisors.
It doesn't much matter. It's really, it's semantics, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, whether you got voting directors or people that you don't want to overrule because they're going to leave, what's the difference? You know what I mean? You're going to have to listen to them.
Yeah.
Or you don't, and they're not going to be part of it.
Yeah.
But I think that's part of it. But the other thing is that I think, just even things like this podcast, it helps us. The more we teach this stuff, the more we refine our message, the more internalized it is for ourselves. The teaching of it makes you, it's just like it's like a discipline. It's like working out. You know what I mean? You're not going to solve your body problem in one workout session, right?
Yeah.
It takes a while. And the more you teach it, the more you talk about it with other people, the easier it gets for you yourself.
Yeah.
That's what I've noticed. Like teaching's really helped me a lot.
Well, like legitimately teaching
yeah, but it doesn't have to be
it can be any teaching
setting.
Yeah,
it could just be you're doing it with people in your industry or with your podcast or your writing or your core group of people inside the company that you're influencing, because you've scheduled some like regular teaching. I think that's the thing too, that you could do is you could have, I hate meetings and all. I know you do too. Hate them. I'm not a fan of them, but sometimes you need them.
So on the speed thing again, right? Because like if you don't influence that speed, and this is kind of like a blanket statement across any entrepreneurial small business. Speed is so important. And I think the reason why speed's so important for small business, that's one of your greatest strengths that you have in comparison against some of the bigger companies that are out there.
Exactly. They can't move fast enough.
They cannot move fast.
A small company can be a lot more responsive to the market, even though they've got less resources.
Totally.
Okay.
But if you don't
make the decision and change.
If you don't
You're right.
find that ideal and make sure that your culture that you're building, whether you have 2 people, whether you have 20, right? And you're still a small business. And you start, 200. Like if you start seeing that those people in your culture is not champions of speed, then you're going to, you're basically eliminating one of your greatest strengths in the market.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point.
So just like in your case.
I love that.
Yeah, like in your case with the business you were talking about, like it's not a small industry.
No, it's a huge industry.
It's operated by massive giants. But the thing that that you have there is speed. But this culture has been brooding over time, and it doesn't even recognize that, hey, we are a small company that's got speed.
Yeah, you're right.
It's like completely lost.
No, what they see is we're a small company that has a nice family laid-back atmosphere.
No.
Okay? We have a laid-back atmosphere. We're family. Yeah.
Families can be fast families, too.
Yeah, no kidding. They can be a family of super high achievers.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's what you're trying to build. Right. It's not a family of love.
Yeah, exactly.
Love and passivity and relax.
I'll love you when you're a high achiever.
Hell yeah, man. This isn't like this. We're not a family of binge watchers of TV that are zombie out and just going through the motions.
It like you said, I totally understand the frustration, because I sit there a lot of times and I've said it to some people. It's like, I don't have time for that. Well, I can't do that. I'm working 10 hours a day, 4 days a week. My God. I'm like, dude, I am 66 freaking years old. Get up at effing 5 o'clock in the morning sometime and get some shit done. Okay?
So you got to do it.
Work till 11 o'clock at night. Maybe there's something you could do that's going to make the next day easier, because you cleaned out your damn do list today instead of putting it off. Instead of I shut down at 5, boom, let's go home. Where are we going out to eat? What are we watching on TV tonight? Okay? I'm freaking 66 years old, and I feel like I've got more energy than the average 25-year-old. That does get frustrating. Yeah, it really does.
So what are your tactics with your speed then? Like you mentioned, do you just, like if you got shit to do,
I just hammer.
You just get it, you hammer relentlessly.
Right. I get my do list done. I'm not going to keep pushing stuff.
What's your do list? Are you just constantly writing down shit you got to do?
Yeah, I've got a million lists right here in my phone, and every time I do something, I scratch it off, and I constantly make new ones. Yes, I keep it all right there. All right.
You just write down shit you got to do.
Constantly. Knock it off.
You knock it off, and you erase it.
I have to.
What do you mean you have multiple lists in your phone?
Well, I got do lists for myself. I got do lists for everybody else, too.
Oh.
Okay, I'm keeping their do list. So
it's like, hey, here.
Of their priority.
Gotcha. So you got this. Is that all in one to-do list then for the other people?
No. It might be a project. I could have a project that's got individual do lists under that project.
Okay.
But generally, it's for the people that I quote.
So like you have an Eric list.
I could have. I don't have one.
Well, yeah, no.
Yeah.
You'd have a bunch of things that you need.
Right.
To do.
Exactly.
And so you're coming back and how often do you go through your to-do list like that? Like, are you
Multiple times a day. How else am I going to get anything done? Okay. The thing is, like you said, though, it's frustrating because I just think the tendency is to push everything out if you can do it. I do myself, like, oh, I want to have coffee with you and talk, like, can we do it in 30 days? I mean, I'm saying that now. I'm not saying like, oh, I could do it next week because I've got one hole there and I'm going to fill it. I'm not doing that anymore. I cannot.
What's that? Filling these little holes?
Yeah, with the coffees and with the things that don't advance my goals in any particular way. You know what I mean? I don't have the time to do that.
To go out and meet folks and have coffee and yap.
I do some.
No, I'm not saying it's bad.
Yeah.
I'm trying to understand what you're talking about exactly.
Right. But that's what
Like if I said, hey, Mark, let's go have coffee at 10:30.
Yeah.
Next week, you'd be like, hey, man, buddy, I can't.
I would. I'd say, can we push that out for 3 or 4 weeks? Because I've got too much to do right now.
Because you need that 30 minutes, an hour, because you know you need to hammer at your to-do list.
Yeah. Exactly. But anyway, so I do procrastinate on some things, but I try to push the things out that don't advance my goals and not push the things out that advance my goals. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Those are the nice things, but not necessary. And sure, a lot of those are critical for maintaining relationships.
Yeah. You got to.
Giving. So
I guess it also depends on who's asking for you to go get coffee, too.
Yeah, it does. No, of course.
If it advances your goals, you're probably going to prioritize.
I mean, like a lot of my students, I don't want to put them off because I feel like that's my job. Mm-hmm. I can't just put them off.
Sure.
You know, it wouldn't be right. I wouldn't be earning my pay at the
sure
to do that. But no. But so we've got to get people. But you ask, like, how do you enact this? We've got a project management type system that we use in one of the companies that I'm part of. And that's where all these deadlines and stuff are set. And like we had one recently that, it's like, well, we're going to do this and we're going to by August 30. I'm like, August 31. I mean, my response is, you're kidding, right? August 31, what?
What was everybody's response? Like, yeah.
Well, the response of a few of the highest level people is, maybe that does make sense to not push that out. But again, the tendency of lower level people or your sort of second tier managers, I think, is to buy more time for everything. They just want to buy more time. And
why is that, you think? Why do they? I think it's important to try to understand why are.
Well, that's a good question. Maybe they feel like the quality will be better. I think that's part of it. I don't want to have a quality. I don't want to be associated with something that's not a quality.
I just thought of something. I bet you it's a balance. No, here's the reality. People don't usually get paid much more, or they can't have visibility as to how they can earn more income, which is why you're working to begin with. Unless I get confused, right? They can't see that. So therefore, why would you stress out if you can't get paid more?
Right. That's why I want to set the example. Yeah. That's why we need somebody to say, look, hey, you just did it. It's amazing. Here's your 70% pay increase. Because you work.
And you don't announce it to the entire company. You just you give it to them. They'll
see it. They'll pick up.
It'll pick up quick. It'll be in that meeting after the meeting sometime.
Yeah. Like, dang, dude just bought a new car, got rid of his 10-year-old VW Jetta.
And that lady's going to be like, I love this company. I love this place.
Exactly. You've got to plant these seeds and show it's possible for somebody to really leapfrog ahead because they break the norms on behavior of what's acceptable behavior or good enough behavior and excel.
The reality is that a company, if you take care of the company will take care of you. I'm a firm believer in that. And there are some lives that were changed with our team right back in the day when we exited out but there were so many people that couldn't get in that belief, but there was people that did. And so it's a good example. But a company can change your freaking life.
It can.
It's not like we get too lost in the horror stories. We we need to remind ourselves that there's been a lot of companies that have changed a lot of people's lives. And as a matter of fact, that's the only way a lot of lives have been changed.
You're right. I mean, yeah, you're absolutely right. And you know, I just think that people don't think it's possible.
Yeah.
Okay. They just really don't believe that it's possible.
And your job as a leader is to demonstrate, to cast that, to demonstrate to live that possibility.
And to show other people that it is possible.
Yeah, and if you don't have priority on that as an entrepreneur, you're missing a big boat, because you are hindering your speed, which we come back as a massive
which is the main advantage of the small business over the large bureaucratic organization.
This is good.
Yeah. I mean, I think your point of that being a primary advantage that a small company has is really, really important. We're going through this a little bit at Janus right now. We discovered that we market directly to the consumer, right?
Yeah.
So we get these leads. We get tons of leads every week. Well, Grant, the president, figured out, I can't remember the exact number, but it's something like 40% of the leads come in on the weekend when we're closed. Okay? That's not good that those are not responded to immediately.
Yeah.
Because people change their mind.
Totally.
You know, it's like, well, I was really in the hot Saturday morning. Friday night, I started looking at this. I was hot. Saturday, I decided to go to the local Honda dealer, and I bought a Honda.
Yep.
Too late. I blew it. Missed that one.
Totally agree.
Or, I really thought I want to do that. Then Monday I get to work and it's like, oh, there's so many things that are going wrong. Maybe I shouldn't spend $15,000 on a toy I don't really need.
That's right.
So they changed their mind.
Yes.
Okay. The timing of that is absolutely essential that we respond.
That is a really good point.
Now we're trying to find the people who will, he's divided the labor up and made the salespeople respond. Okay, but they're getting, a certain amount of pushback from people. Oh, this is my weekend. I can't do that. Well, you're going to miss out on sales, though.
Yeah.
Okay, do you want to really go ahead? You want to make another $20,000 this year? Here's your chance to do it.
I want to talk about something. Okay, that I think is so important and probably roadblocking. It's that point. So that weekend, that salesperson, they want to be off on the weekend. They're probably getting pressure from the family.
Absolutely.
I don't live, you don't live, I know. We don't live as entrepreneurs in a family dynamic that prevents me from working.
Right. No.
I do not do that.
No.
Like,
it's not going to work out.
It's not going to work out.
Yeah.
It's a hard, like we all know. Everybody understands. And my wife is very respectful about it. My daughters are.
Right.
I think you're the same way.
Yes.
Right. Now, there are periods of where I need to recognize where I'm at too, right?
Right. I can family.
I can't go to the beach. Like I did this last year, right? I went to the beach with
and they were just on your phone.
I was on my phone working. I got up, all the girls are still sleeping. I get up and I go to Starbucks and I just hammer out 5 hours worth of work because it's entertaining for me, right? But my wife's
like to miss out too.
But my wife, and 2:30 in the afternoon, my wife's like, hey, listen, for real. It's okay that you're working, but you can't just like be gone all day long.
Yeah.
So you got to be smart enough to, like, you got to have your boundaries. But I think a big thing is a lot of people get stuck in this world perspective and ideology.
It's where their friends are. It's their society. It's their culture. It's their family.
It's like, dude, you are designed and created and you are meant to labor and work.
It shouldn't be a bad thing.
It should not be a bad thing, man.
Yeah.
And like, when you look at anybody that's retired, they're not happier.
No, they are.
I haven't seen they really had, now in the first few weeks, but
most of us end up jumping back in with both feet into 5 things instead of the one we were doing.
Because there should be honor from working.
Yeah. Well, we like to win too. It's all part of the game.
Yeah.
Right?
But you can't, I think that how is that, I think that for anybody, especially an entrepreneur, like, you cannot fall victim if you're going to be an entrepreneur, and you have a different family dynamic than the fact of your family supporting and understanding that you work And it doesn't mean you're a freaking workaholic and that you're a bad person and you're going to die and all this bad stuff. It's that people in your dynamic understand that. And if they don't, you need to be prepared to change it.
That's back to our spouse, discussion where we had our spouses on here and all.
Yeah.
And, my last wife, I mean, her family, they were all teachers. They were off all summer. Okay, well, why aren't you off all summer? Because I'm not a freaking teacher. Okay, because that's why you live in this 6,000 square foot house and get a new freaking car every 6 months, and our kids go to private school.
Yeah.
Okay,
Nice shit costs money.
Yeah, the only way we're going to be able to support that is by working. Is that harder working? Not to say those are the only things, but I mean, it does, we've got good health care. Our kids can get braces, we don't have to you didn't go to the dentist when you were a kid because your parents couldn't afford it, but they could have maybe if they'd have done something different.
It worked a little
you know what I mean? Maybe they should have signed up for the summer classes. I mean,
that's a simple equation.
I mean, it really is. Those other fields at all. But
no.
But if that's the perspective of the person that you're teamed up with, it's very hard to change that.
Yeah. And so if you have a sales team that's like, hey, I got my weekend, I don't want to do this call. Right. It's like the culture again, being led by the entrepreneur is like, I think a good way to handle that is like, I'll take the call.
That's exactly. It's funny you said that because
I'll take that. I'll make that damn sale.
I just said to Grant this morning, I said, you and I need to take these leads, okay? And we're going to set the example, all right?
Yeah.
We will close the sale, all right? And that's going to be a positive example.
And then you need to let everybody know how much money you made on top.
Well, I didn't think about that. I wasn't thinking about getting a commission.
You should put a scorecard between you and Grant. Mark made $10,000 this month by closing deals on Saturday.
I just want to demonstrate that it's possible.
But I know, but if they can see them, that's another way to demonstrate money.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea. I hadn't even thought of. I mean, I gotta remember the fact that it's the differentiator between small and large business.
Sweet.
And what that maybe get a little more public in our disclosure about how much money the salespeople make.
Yep.
Maybe that's to sort of create a little friendly competition.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
But we're out of time, man.
Dang, well, it's always so much fun talking.
I know, man.
And I learn a lot from it.
I do too.
It refines my philosophy.
Yeah. Which
is critical.
Can your philosophy be refined, though?
Absolutely. It changes all the time, Eric. It's constantly evolving. Okay. Doesn't mean it's a wholesale throwing out. But I'm not going to say I've never done that either. But no, it does. It helps to refine your philosophy guides all your daily decision making.
And I appreciate even the tactical conversation about how you get your to-do list done, because I think that's one thing I've always struggled with. It's just, how do I manage? Like, dude, if my to-do list is so vast, it just keeps growing.
I understand.
You know what
I do. I totally understand. No, you're a diva.
But you just chisel, man. It's like, is it a game to you? Is it an OCD thing to you a little bit?
Yeah, maybe.
Like where you can't relax unless you get that stuff done.
But it's also an example thing for me. Okay. I like to have the ugly stuff, I like to do the things I want to do on my do list. We all do, all right? But I always force myself to do the things I don't want to do first. Truthfully, I do. Because I don't want to have that over my head. I don't want to feel like guilty.
Yeah.
Because I didn't do what I know I should have done first.
I think you, as any human being, has the power to become obsessive about a certain thing. I need to become obsessive about knocking off a certain to-do list and doing the shitty stuff first. Like, I can't operate without it.
You'll feel better.
Oh, yeah.
I think it makes you feel better when you know, I did that crappy job I didn't want to do.
When you have a highly productive day, feel like a freaking king.
Yeah, then you can actually celebrate.
Yeah.
Then you can relax a little bit.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, man. Good stuff.
Buddy. Well, once again, this has been another episode of
Big Talk About Small Business.
You can check us out at www.bigtalkaboutsmallbusiness.com. If you'd like to be a sponsor of our podcast, please contact us. Our contact information is on our website. We'd love to have you.
Yeah. You were kind of giving us little pointers about advertising before we started this show, right?
Well, nobody likes to sell advertising. I'll admit that. But it's necessary.
It is necessary.
And it can really be helpful to a business.
Man, I'll be honest with you. Like, I get people reach out to me all the time and say, man, I've been tuning in, I'll listen, keep doing it, I love it. You and Mark are inspiring. This has been really helpful. I mean, like, it has legs to it and it's providing valuable content to people and people are engaged.
Right.
Well, hear your brand. So it's a great place to be investing.
It is.
And aligning your brand with business stuff.
Any business I ever had that was going to grow faster than the industry it's part of spent money on advertising.
Yeah.
Okay? Because it works. It
does.
doesn't work overnight.
No.
It does work over time.
I agree.
It's absolutely critical. Okay. So anyway, we'd love to sell you.
Yeah, sure would.
But even if we don't, we'll still be
here
doing Big Talk About Small Business. So everybody have a great week, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of Big Talk About Small Business. If you have any questions or ideas for upcoming shows, be sure to head over to our website, www.bigtalkaboutsmallbusiness.com. and click on the Ask the Host button for the chance to have your questions answered on the show. Stay connected with us on LinkedIn at Big Talk About Small Business. And be sure to head over to our website to read articles, browse episodes, and ask questions about upcoming shows.